teachers, time to teach a new way.
Well, I am Tameka Fryer Brown. I am a picture book author. I currently have 6 books on the market that folks can buy or check out from the library. And they include Around Our Way on Neighbor's Day, my very first book, which is about a young girl in her multicultural community as they celebrate Neighbor's Day. Then we have my Cold Plum Lemon Pie Bluesy Mood, which is about feelings and emotions. Then Brown Baby Lullaby, which I think I saw you share. And yes, and that's just my love letter to brown skin babies everywhere. And let's see what else. Oh, and then there's the 3 that came out all together within like 3 months of each other. And that's 12. It's a busy time, and let me tell you, 12 Dinging Doorbells, which is about large Black family gatherings. There you go, like the ones I grew up having. And Shirley not done yet, Shirley Chisholm's Fight for Change. And then my last one is That Flag, and that just came out last month. Yeah. And that's about.
And actually, I have your other book here, and I just forgot to bring. They're in the other room.
Thank you very much. I was a stay-at-home mom after having worked in medical sales for a while, and having been told that I needed to be on the road 4 nights a week, and I had an 8-month-old baby, so you know that caused an immediate change. So I left the workforce and became a stay-at-home mom, and before I knew it, that one baby had turned into 3 babies. And I was kind of looking for something to do in addition to mommyhood, and I just happened to be reading a picture book to my youngest daughter one day, and I was like, ooh, I think this is it. I think this is what I want to do, because I knew I didn't want to go back into the workforce. So yeah, that was the beginning of my journey.
So you had never, like when you were a kid?
Absolutely not. In fact, I say this, and I don't know if people really believe me, but it's true. I didn't even, not only did I not know that writing was something that I could do, I never thought about the fact that actual human beings wrote books. Like I guess they just showed up on the shelves, and here we go, out of the sky. But yeah, so I never thought about that. Now, when I was a kid, like I wrote some poems that maybe run a blue ribbon at the youth fair or something like that. So I kind of knew that I could write. I had been told I was a good writer. English was one of my favorite subjects and that kind of a thing. But as an occupation or a vocation, never crossed my mind.
That's so funny, and especially that when you did go into the workforce, it was something so completely different. It's not even a related field. Was that kind of hard to make that switch, like, okay, I'm going to write now?
Not really. And when I think about it, even as a salesperson, I think I was a better communicator. My written skills, I was better at that than even my verbal skills, believe it or not, because I remember some of my supervisors really writing, like notes on a correspondence that I gave to customers, like, this is an excellent letter, and sending it out to the other sales reps. This is how you're supposed to do this. So, it was there. It was there. And the thing that made it easy about wanting to actually write children's books.
Do you think that you would ever branch out and do a different age group?
No, I have ideas for chapter books and even a middle grade novel. So I do hope to branch out and and write some in some different genres. But I really do love that picture. The picture books. I'll always come back to them. I know that. Yeah.
Well, speaking of your picture book, so you say that you write to sow seeds of self-love, pride, connectivity, and inclusion in the hearts of children. Why is that so important to you?
Not only do I think, I know that the way forward, the way we're going to have lasting change in our society and in our world is by investing in today's children and planting those seeds of compassion and empathy and kindness in their hearts now, so that it becomes an innate part of who they are. Because like the longer you wait to focus on that with a human being, the harder it is to make that something that's an automatic. You know, you think about a lot of times things that we're trying to unlearn as adults. It's a challenge. But when things that, you know, you learned as a child that, you know, they just are part of who you are, they're natural. And we want anti-racism to be natural. We want inclusiveness to be natural. And the way we're going to do that is that those of us who are adults and can take the time and effort and intentionality to invest in today, you know, tomorrow's adults. That's what we need to do. So that's why planting those seeds in kids' hearts and minds now is so important to me.
It's so beautiful. And I'm sorry, we did get it. Someone is mentioning that they're having trouble hearing. I'm not having any trouble with the audio, but maybe if somebody, maybe other people in the audience, if you could let us know if the audio is still a problem. But so you have all these wonderful and wonderful books, and I really see that thread through all of the works that you're doing. Maybe we could just, like you said, you have 6 books that are out. Maybe we could just, because of time, focus on the recent ones that have come out, starting with the holiday book, The 12 Dinging Doorbells. Is so beautiful. And like you said, it's about family, especially at the holidays, and a little girl who's trying to find her place in a large family gathering. And I loved it because it really captures like how I remember it was as a kid to be in those really big family gatherings and finding your place. But of course, like you said, it also is specifically about African-American family, and so many of the details are focused on that at the same time as it's a book I think any kid could relate to.
Really,
but
it was
behind
just me being in a really positive, happy holiday spirit. Because this book, the first draft of it was penned just a few days before Christmas. And so not only was I in that joyful spirit, but I was, you know, I guess in somewhat of a nostalgic spirit too, and remembering when my grandmother, you know, was here and at the helm, she was like, everybody went to her house, and sweet potato pies, that was her thing. You know, nobody else tried to touch that. That's what she did. And so just memory and joy and all of that is really what inspired that book. And I just wanted to celebrate our family gatherings. You know, it's set to the tune of the 12 Days of Christmas, but as you know, it's really just about families getting together and gathering and celebrating each other. So yeah.
It is, and it's such a joyful book, and I think kind of does what you do, you know, in other books like Brown Baby Lullaby, that it really kind of normalizes diversity. You know, here's just a normal family. I mean, the specifics are about an African-American family, but it makes it just, you know, normal to see them in holiday gathering. Oh, good. It looks like the audio is working now for everybody. But another book, which I forgot to bring in with me, is Not Done Yet, which is the picture book biography of Shirley Chisholm, who is such an inspiring figure.
Actually, there was an editor who in 2017, I think it was, put out a call on Twitter saying that they were interested in having a picture book biography about Shirley Chisholm. At the time, there were none. And Christy Dempsey, who's an author friend of mine, tagged me in that. And I was really honored that she did, but I didn't think nonfiction was my lane. So I didn't really start writing on it until like 2 years later, because the idea, even though I told myself that wasn't my lane, the idea never really left me. And so I researched her while I was telling myself, oh, nonfiction is not your thing. And ultimately I figured out, you know what? You can tell this story. It's a poem. And that is your thing. And so, yeah, that's when I started writing it.
What do you hope that young readers will take away from the book and from hearing her story? especially the way that you told it. Like you said, it's such a lyrical way of telling the story.
I guess a couple things. One is that everybody has something innate, inside of them, their personality, their talents, and their abilities that they can use to make a difference in the world. And that's what she did. Like, she had a personality where she didn't like to be bossed, and she was really focused on things being fair. And so when she decided to go into public service, those qualities really worked for her and made her be able to be a difference maker, because she wasn't beholden to, politicians, and she didn't care about that. She cared about people, and she cared about making things better for people. And so all of us have certain traits and qualities and interests and passions that we can combine and use to make a difference in the world. So that's what I want kids to understand. And then I want them to understand that service and being a change maker is an ongoing thing. Like, she could have stopped after she did that one great thing, but she had the mindset of a change maker. And so that's why it's called Not Done Yet. So she kept on going throughout her entire life, even beyond the book, focused on serving and making a difference. And I think that's what, hopefully all of us will kind of live our lives trying to do.
Right, and I love that. Like, you have that refrain throughout the book, not done yet, and keep on going. And then, like you said, then it's like calling on them to keep carrying it forward and to carry forward that legacy that she left. Do you think that now you might do more nonfiction?
I might. Yeah, I do think I might, because I think I pulled it off. So I was like, yeah, you can, girl. All right.
Yeah, you did. It was such a good book, and it was kind of interesting because that flag is a story, but it's also, in a way, brings in a lot of kind of the history nonfiction. So I wanted to especially spend time talking about this because it is the latest one that came out, and also it's such a book for this moment, I think, and for this time. It's so needed, and yet it's I don't know if you had any trepidation about putting it out there, especially at this time when we're having book bannings and all of this going in this kind of a climate. It seems like I don't know, maybe not like a kind of inauspicious time in a way, but also makes it more needed to put it out there. So what was that thought? Although saying that, I know that the book actually started before this moment. Yeah,
I believe that things happen when and how they're supposed to. Believe it or not, I wrote this book in 2015 after the Charleston church shootings. And at that particular time, nobody wanted to buy it. And so I ended up having to put it away. And in 2020, we had another tumultuous, period, as you know, in our country, or specifically around race. And but it was a better moment. It was a better time, a more fitting time, I should say, for the story, because at that point, it went to auction. And so, lesson learned, timing is everything. And I'm just thankful for the writer friends that I had, and my agent, Marigetta Zacher, who believed in the story and all kind of really reminded me and encouraged me in 2020, that this is a story. And now we're in 2023, right? Totally different set of circumstances, but it's still timely for, even different reasons. So it's, I look forward to the day. I'm glad it's here. I'm hoping that people will be able to use it as a tool to have open and honest dialogue with children, with each other, about the Confederate flag specifically, but even issues beyond that around race. But I am also hopeful for the day where it will be, the type of book that is not needed. We're not there yet, though. So I'm glad it's here to be used as a tool.
You know, as someone who grew up in the South, I really appreciate this book because it seems like one of those conversations and debates that just won't go away. And I feel like the way you put it is just, it makes it so clear. You know, it's one of those issues that people say, oh, we just agree to disagree. And it's like, well, no, this is not something you can agree to disagree on. And just lays it out so well. And it's interesting because I think I read that originally people were pushing you to make it a middle grade book. And you wanted to keep it as a picture book. Why did you fight to keep it as a picture book, and why is this? Because I think that kind of speaks to the idea that you were talking about earlier, that we need to be having these conversations with young kids.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for those exact same reasons. I think, again, the longer we wait to have these conversations, the harder it is to have the type of change that is just visceral, and I just, I focus on kids and the younger age group in all of my writings because I'm planting all different types of seeds. And I don't know, I just felt in my own heart and soul that this was the age group where this book could make the greatest kind of difference. So I don't know, it's just, I just was passionate about it. It's who I intended it for. It's where I thought, it's just, I don't know. I just wanted to tell it to kids. And I think that's where it's going to be most powerful, the impact. And I think, we're in a moment when we're talking about book banning and things of that nature, when people are trying to keep truths from our young people and trying to keep them and the rest of society ignorant to history and a lot of different things. And, ignorance might feel like bliss, but I don't think anything has ever been changed for the better through ignorance. And so I think it's important to tell children, young children, truths at an age-appropriate level. And so that's what I'm going to do. And that's what I tried to do. We tried to do with this book.
And just to support what you're saying, I think also the visuals from Nikkolas Smith are so amazing that make it so powerful to have as a picture book. I'm just trying to pull up some for people who haven't seen the book yet. And also, I think kind of speaks to the idea of the need for diversity in children's books, that we need to be talking about these kinds of issues and to have these perspectives. And I know you do a lot of work to really build community and help support other creators, such as, I know you're a member of Kidlit in Color, Brown Bookshelf, Black Creators HQ. Why is that important to you, and especially in the context of
that's exactly right. There's not necessarily an equal level of promotion given to different types of books within the industry. And so that's where community comes in, that we can work on amplifying one another, to making sure that people know that our books of all types of varieties, diverse, inclusive books, different genres, all of it, making sure that the book buying public knows that they exist, because we know publishing speaks in the language of dollars. So if people buy the books, that they got to know that they exist, and then they buy them, and then publishing can see that there's a market for them, and then they make more of them, and then our children benefit from them. But I want to say this really quickly, and you jogged my memory. That was another reason that I wanted that flag to be a picture book. Like you pointed out, the visual storytelling. I thought that as opposed to just the text, would make it more powerful. Because I think this picture book is not only for the younger ones, but it is for the middle grade ones. And I'm hearing it's even for the adults. But because that visual storytelling really adds a lot to it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I actually was just talking about this to my 13-year-old before I came back. I was like, you should really read this because he loves history, and he's getting to the age where he's thinking a lot more about this kind of stuff. So I agree. I think this is definitely for older kids, and like you said, there's a lot of adults that I wish would read it too. But just to wrap up, I'm just watching the time. Can you maybe leave us with a little preview of any other books that you're working on or things that might be
well, next year I have a book coming out called You Are, Ode to a Big Kid. And it's celebrating, the milestones and the growing independence of a child. And it will be illustrated by Aliana Harris and published by FSG, who published Brown Baby Lullaby. And I've seen the sketches, and they are gorgeous. And so that'll be out next year.
Well, we look forward to that.
Same. Thank you so much for inviting me.
It was such a pleasure to talk with you.
Then they listen to what you have to say.